Okay.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Okay.
Welcome to another edition of the Houston Roundball Review presents folks talking sports. That last little bit is courtesy of our brother Cole Johnson
Yeah.
of Cole Sports with the Z.
Let's see.
Yes, sir. I am, of course, KG Kris Gardner, owner of the Houston Roundball Review, and with me, as always, is my man Willy Gibson from Ohio. How are you, brother?
I'm doing well, my man. How about you?
I'm doing great. Doing great. It's NBA draft week.
Yeah.
The NBA team you cover as
Yep.
a credentialed media member made some news earlier Monday. Let's get into it with that news as we kick off, or should I say, tip off episode 129 of Folks Talking Sports. You got it, sir.
Yeah. Reports are nothing official yet from the team, but it's just a dot of an I and a cross of a T at this point. Kenny Atkinson is the 23rd head coach of the Cleveland Cavaliers.
Your thoughts on that move?
Expected at the onset of the search, he was the first name mentioned. Um, how do I want to say this? James Borrego was the favorite after and they casted a wide net. They did what you're supposed to do. They talked to Michael Nori of the Minnesota Timberwolves, Ohio native, by the way, Springfield, Ohio. They spoke with Adelman out of Denver, David Adelman. They spoke with James Borrego. They spoke with Kenny Atkinson. They spoke with a number of coaches. And for a moment, James Borrego was the favorite. He impressed President of Basketball Operations Kobe Altman. He impressed General Manager Mike Gansey. And contrary to reports, you're going to hear something contrary to what I'm about to say, but James Borrego was the choice of Kobe Altman and Mike Gansey. Last Tuesday, James Borrego was in Cleveland finalizing a meeting with Kobe Altman and Mike Gansey. And then Wednesday happened. Cavs Governor Dan Gilbert had a meeting. And let me back up. Let me go forward to back up.
Okay.
I saw something this weekend that kind of was, for me, a dead giveaway. To the untrained eye, it was a throwaway. On, I believe it was Saturday, I saw a post that said Tom Izzo
I saw that.
endorses Kenny Atkinson as Cavs head coach. And not to go Brian Windhorst, shout out to Wendy, best in the business at what we do without question. Akron guy as well. But I kind of thought, like, Tom Izzo endorses Kenny Atkinson as Cavs head coach. Now, why do I say that? What does that have to do with anything, Willie? Well, let me tell you. Kris, Tom Izzo, where does he coach?
Michigan State.
He coaches at Michigan State.
Yes.
Okay. Coaches at Michigan State. Dan Gilbert is a very, very high-ranking friend of the program at
Michigan
State University. So to someone else, they're like, "Oh, Tom Izzo, it doesn't matter." But that raised red flag after red flag after red flag after red flag. To me, when I saw that, it was a done deal. I'm like, I didn't know what happened. I didn't fill in the blanks at that point. But I knew when I saw Tom Izzo endorses Kenny Atkinson, Dan Gilbert had talked to Tom Izzo, and Kenny Atkinson was the next coach of the Cleveland Cavaliers. It was just a matter of time. And so when it was announced today, I found out a little more background. James Borrego wanted this job. James Borrego impressed everyone in that front office. And until Wednesday. I said on Tuesday, it was a done deal. But when you have a billionaire governor that writes the checks, he pretty much has final say. And he likes Kenny Atkinson. So today's announcement was Kenny Atkinson is the next coach of the Cleveland Cavaliers.
And you and I said soon after that news broke that we both believe or think that James Borrego will become the favorite
Yeah.
to be the head coach of the Detroit Pistons.
Yes. Yes.
So, all that aside,
Yep.
the Lakers made official with Mr. J.J. Redick.
Mhm.
Cavs naming Kenny Atkinson head coach.
Can I say one more thing about Kenny Atkinson?
Yes.
Let me say this. This is not a slam on Kenny Atkinson. Kenny Atkinson is a great coach. He fits what the Cavs want. He's, first of all, the offensive mind, and that tends to happen when coaches are fired. They tend to go the polar opposite. J.B. Bickerstaff was a defensive mind.
Mm-hmm.
Kenny Atkinson is the offensive mind. He's worked under some powerful head coaches. He worked under Mike Budenholzer in Atlanta. He's worked under Steve Kerr and Golden State most recently. He's an offensive mind, and he's a developer. And that was one of the things that one of the things, many things, but one of the things that cost J.B. Bickerstaff is you have three former top five picks on this Cavs roster right now.
Mm-hmm.
Isaac Okoro, Darius Garland, and Evan Mobley. And those guys just didn't develop. They just never got better. Phenomenal talents. They just never got better. And that was a strong indictment on J.B. Bickerstaff. And also, he never could figure out how to win with his best players on the court. And so the task for Kenny Atkinson now is to win with the core four: Jared Allen, Darius Garland, Donovan Mitchell, and Evan Mobley. So, and also Donovan Mitchell was, how was it put to me? The next time Kenny Atkinson talks to Donovan Mitchell will not be the first.
Yes. Well put.
Is how it was said to me.
Well put.
Yeah, I had to be careful because I was like, oh, yeah. So the next time they speak will not be the first. So Kenny Atkinson, I mean, he did what he did in Brooklyn. He didn't lose his job in Brooklyn because he's a bad coach. He lost the power struggle. It's a players' league. And he lost a power struggle with Kyrie Irving and Kevin Durant. Worst things have happened to get fired. So, he's going to be fine. This is not an indictment on him. I know James Borrego was the favorite. He wanted that job. They wanted him. But the owner pulled the trump card, no pun intended. And that happens. It's okay. So, but yeah, it'll be interesting to see now with Donovan's signing, and I can get to his contract later, but I just wanted to make sure I shared that about Kenny Atkinson. It's not a slight or a discredit to him. James Borrego was the favorite until Dan Gilbert, and Dan's become more involved. He had suffered a stroke about two years ago now, concurrently along with the death of his son Nick. So he's been out of the loop for a while, but Dan's back. Dan's back in a major way, and he's making moves now. So,
couple things.
Yeah.
Since James Borrego was Cavs' top choice, is not the Cavs coach, do you think it'll be an issue for Detroit and Pistons fans who watch this either live or later on, that Borrego wasn't, the Pistons weren't Borrego's top choice? We already had that problem with Monty. Monty didn't want to coach the Pistons last year until more money was tossed his way. Could that be an issue?
It's a good point. Possibly. It could be, but I think the relationship between Trajan Langdon and Borrego that they established in New Orleans, I think they could package that as we're on the same page. We're together. We're joined at the hip. We're together. So, he had an opportunity for another job. He didn't get it. But I'm here now.
But, Mike Honore, ironically, is one of the candidates for the Detroit job.
Yep.
I think Sean Sweeney is another candidate for the Detroit job.
Yep.
Will Weaver has been mentioned as a candidate for the Detroit job. Brother, I'm going to say this. I don't have any more insight on it, but I'm curious your thoughts. I didn't say, and I haven't said, Sam Cassell. for,
Yeah.
for any of these jobs? What's going on?
Sam, it was reported yesterday, Wick is opening up the checkbook, and Sam is pretty much, for all intents and purposes, the head coach in waiting in Boston. Now, I say that, and you're like, with Joe Mazzulla is 35 years old, just won a chip.
Yeah.
But apparently Sam's comfortable in Boston. And they're going to do whatever it takes to make sure that he stays there. Now, I agree. I mean, we've talked about it. I thought Sammy Cassell should have been a candidate here in Cleveland. Definitely thought Sammy Cassell should have been a candidate in Los Angeles. So, yeah, without question, he deserves a shot. 3 titles as a player, 1 as an assistant coach. Has the experience, has the pedigree. It's just a matter of time. And I know we always say it's just a matter of time, but yes, it is interesting that his name hasn't been mentioned. But like I said, I did see, I think it was again this weekend, some point that he is looking, or Boston is looking to retain his services.
Well, it's good that he's wanted,
yeah,
by Boston. So that's a plus. And as long as he's happy,
yeah.
And I mean, he's in a great spot with Boston, a championship organization, and the pay is right, and he's good with that. I'm happy for him. You know, I was not as in covering the Rockets when he was a Rocket. I was, early in my media life, so didn't really know him that well like that. But hey, he's happy now, good for him.
Mm-hmm.
We're going to talk some Rockets NBA draft. Draft is on Wednesday. Rocket fans, you're watching on YouTube and Twitter. Hit us up with your comments, questions, whatever you thought. I was on Sports Sunday Extra. Go ahead.
Some people say the draft starts Thursday, but I digress.
Well, some folks say, why bother with this draft?
Right.
Yeah. And round 2 Thursday is 4:00 Eastern, 3:00 Central, I think. So I mean,
yeah, it is.
Who's going to watch the second round at that time of day?
Well, the pick of interest should be around, I don't know, 5 p.m. Eastern, 4 p.m. Central. I'm just saying.
Because I think it's more than 2 minutes between picks in the second round now.
It is.
So I don't know I don't think it's as much as 5, but I know it's more than 2.
Yeah. It's a pick of interest that everyone's looking for on Thursday afternoon.
I mean,
double nickel, maybe. I don't know.
The Rockets have a second round pick. Wouldn't that be something, Rocket fans? Thriller, if you're watching, or Tony M, if you're watching, wouldn't that be something if the Houston Rockets, with their pick, select Bronny James from Southern Cal? That'd be something. I don't foresee that occurring.
Yeah.
But yeah, that would be something. Rocket fans, what do you think about that? I doubt that's going to happen. And Sam, I don't believe he'll go to Detroit either.
I've heard as early as 31 with Toronto. I saw you, Jerry.
So I mean,
I don't know.
It's Lions season,
of course.
Discussion season, rumors season. Cavs don't have a first round pick, do they?
They have 20.
20. Okay.
20.
All right. So
what?
That's it. What is your gut insight saying about the Cavs going to do at 20?
Bronny James. No. Hey, it worked. It worked for James 21 years ago. I'm just saying, but no. I mean, it runs the gamut. I mean, they're looking for shooting, number one. They're looking for size, and they're looking for defense. So the young man from Minnesota, I apologize. I'm not the draft Nick on the NBA side as I should be, but Castleton, I believe, in Minnesota, from University of Minnesota. The freshman out of Kansas, and people always, and this is why people say,
Johnny Furphy?
Yes. Yeah, Bronny, that's what the people say, Bronny James. But Bronny James only averaged 5 points a game, 4 points a game at USC. Someone look at Peyton Watson from last year at UCLA when Denver took him in the first round at his numbers. Look at the young man this year from Kansas and look at his numbers. And so stats, those aren't relevant at this point in this NBA. It's all about potential, fit. What can you do?
It's a
how
new
they
person.
project you. So
Agreed. New person, Bobby 1006. Do I know if Donovan worked out for the Rockets? I don't know if he did. They're almost all the teams are hush hush and very close to the vest on that. I think he and his people have talked with the Rockets. I'll just leave it at that. Workout aside, whether he did or not, it would not deter Rafael Stone and the Rockets to select him at 3, if they stay at 3, if they believe he's the best person available for them at 3.
Could they go to 9?
I don't think he'd be available at 9, but there's some talk about.
Well, no, not him, but would the Rockets go to 9?
Right. I mean, there's some talk about Rockets trading back with Memphis at the 9 spot. Rumors about Marcus Smart deal and things of that sort. Mark Stein wrote probably within the last hour or so in his Steinline Substack that the Rockets would be one of the teams with their picks and their aggressiveness and willingness to make a push for the playoff this year to be in line to make a deal if Paul George put himself on the trade market, and that by doing that, he would do that by opting into his last year of his contract and telling the Clippers, I'm getting my money, but I want to be traded, and this is where I want to go. So the Rockets, according to Mark Stein, Jimmy Buckets, PG, or Marcus Smart. So that's a little different levels of talent in those 3, but different levels of fit for the Rockets. And I wonder, Bobby, what are your thoughts on that? Would you, if Paul George said, I want to go to the Rockets, Bobby, what would you be willing for the Rockets / Rafael Stone to give up in a trade to get Paul George on the Rockets? And Brother Gibson, what do you think the Rockets should give up if Paul George said he wanted to come to Houston?
Well, a couple of things. I'm of the mindset you don't give up anything. You tell him to opt out and you sign him outright. Why would I give up assets?
The Clippers won't get anything in return.
Right. I'm not dealing with the Clippers. I'm dealing with Paul George. So if he wants to come, opt out, and we'll sign you.
All right. Bobby says he would pass on PG. Yeah, his injuries history kind of concerns me too a little bit.
And going back to your point about Lions season, I've heard those first 2 names in Cleveland too, Jimmy Butler and Paul George. And I know it's Lions season right now. And I'm not saying this that the Rockets aren't. I'm just saying we've heard those names in Cleveland with Jimmy Butler. If Miami doesn't give him the extension, he's in playing Cleveland. No, he's not.
You know it. And the Knicks and Sixers have been linked to Paul George as well. So a lot of this, I mean, it's agents doing their job, putting their clients' names out there. One of the viewers on the lunch break show on Thursday mentioned the Marcus Smart deal to me, rumored. And, the Minnesota young man, you're thinking of Cam Christie?
Yes.
That's what you're thinking of for Cleveland? Yeah, Cam Christie, Minnesota, yep. Not quite 19 years old. So, okay.
What's his numbers? What did he average last year? You have his numbers?
Let me see if I can pull it up here. 11.3 points, 3.6 rebounds, 2.2 assists. Shot 40% from the floor, 39 from 3.
Yeah, he's a shooter. That's what they're looking for.
So, and Eric, I don't know why you're spelling out stuff like this, but you can have a moment to yourself if you want to. So I'm not worried about anything, and you're gonna come on with that. But hey, anyhow, I don't mess with stuff like that here on this show. So you can spell it how you want to. I know it is spelled, and I know you got it removed. I know that.
Oh, you banned it. Okay, I wasn't there. I didn't see it. All right, cool.
So yeah, I don't play that stuff. You can have freedom of speech in America, but not on my show. You don't come out like that. I don't do that. No. But yeah, Cam Christie is a guy. Bobby, who do you want the Rockets? What do you want the Rockets to do with the third pick? I said on the show Sunday evening with Jackson Gatlin from Locked On Rockets, Jason Bristol, and Zach that I think in the best case scenario, the Rockets would trade the pick for a veteran impact player who can shoot. If they can't do that, pull off a trade, I think the Rockets would draft Reed Shepherd at 3, even though I'd prefer the Rockets draft Donovan Clingan for myself, but I'm not Rafael Stone. Reed Shepherd is a hell of a shooter. No question. 52% overall from the floor, or like 51 from 3 in college. I get all that. And he stuffed the stat sheet too. I get all that too. He's not a switchable defensive guy. Ime Udoka system, Will.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. His one-on-one defense is not a strength. His reach, his arms aren't very long. So his on-ball defense is a concern for me and in terms of a fit for the Rockets defensively. Now, if you just want him to be a spacer and hit those threes when he gets open looks from everybody else on the Rockets, okay. But if looking for more, I'm not sure he's a guy for the Rockets. What do you think?
I agree. I agree with that. I do. He's definitely probably, if not the top 2 shooter in the draft. But everything, so I agree with that. I'm sitting there thinking, and I'm totally off topic with this. You mentioned Udoka. Any comment from him since Boston won the chip? Just curious. I don't expect it, but I'm just curious.
No, I mean, nothing official. I mean, I had spoken to him. I guess I could reach out to his sister and ask, and she'd ask me, why are you asking me that?
I was just curious.
But no, not the public. No, of course not. No.
Yeah,
no,
of course. Yeah.
No. All right. Bobby says traded first. That'd be his options. Then second, Clingan. Third, Shepherd would be the choices. He knows most people want Shepherd, but I am concerned about his size and matchup against bigger guards and better guards, and that's how I see it as well. But I think he'll have a solid career. Mm-hmm. But for the Rockets and Coach Udoka's system, defensive system,
Thrillo,
Thrillo, how you doing? Thrillo, thank you for he hit me up on the gram a few minutes before we started the show. Mm-hmm. He saw me on TV. And yes, my grease pen, my virtual pen worked better last night than the previous time, even though it still didn't work like it. I don't know, me and my suit buttons on my jacket or whatever interferes when I write on the board or something, but it did better than it did the first time. Hopefully next Sunday when we're back on talking about the Rockets draft results, I'll be able to figure out how to write on the board without having any issues. It's bad enough my scribble is not great anyhow, and I write like a doctor will,
Yeah, sure.
So, but Thrillo, what do you think the Rockets should do with the third pick? Should they keep it? Should they trade it? Should they move down, trade for a vet? But let's see. Bobby says anybody they draft will be behind the core 6 and likely not playing much. I agree. More like a redshirt year unless injuries occur. Still prefer a trade down if it can happen. So, all right, fair enough in that. We can keep talking Rockets draft as the draft starts in roughly 48 hours, right, Will? Because it's going to be 7 Eastern, right, on Wednesday. So a little under 48 hours, the NBA draft will begin with the first pick. The Atlanta Hawks are on the clock. It looks like Will is frozen on the screen, so I'm going to keep talking and maybe he can come back in. But until then, so y'all keep me company as Brother Gibson pops out and pops back in on this edition of Folks Talking Sports, episode 129. I am KG Kris Gardner, owner of the Houston Roundball Review. Some fine-tuning, some information, of course. Housekeeping, shall we say. On Twitter, X, Folks Talk Sports. Folks Talk Sports. You're watching us live on Folks Talk Sports. If you're on Twitter, we're also on YouTube at Houston Roundball Review. That is the original site. Folks Talk Sports is part of the Houston Roundball Review Media Group umbrella, but there is a specific YouTube channel for FTS, and it is Folks Talking Sports on YouTube. So you can subscribe and become a follower, subscriber to that YouTube channel as well, and click on that bell so you can receive notifications of when new content and new shows of FTS are posted, and join the fun and join the family. And of course, Thrillo knows you can get you some merch like this, some FTS merch, get you a Folks Talking Sports mug, and enjoy your favorite adult beverage like I am. Cheers. On the original Houston Roundball Review YouTube channel, you can click on that shop button and order you some merch and support the Roundball Review that way. Or click on that $sign and just support, make a contribution, and click on that a super chat, super sticker, and do it that way as well, and show your love and support for the Houston Roundball Review. Brother Gibson is back.
My apologies.
No worries. Thrillo says he's conflicted on the draft. He doesn't see a true impact player at 3. Tari coming back. Tari Eason, of course, if you don't know. Tari coming back will be a huge boost along with growth from others. He says all that, but he wouldn't be mad if the Rockets did draft Reed Shepherd with the 3rd pick. So there's no Wemby in this draft. There's no Zion in this draft. There's no
LeBron James. Well, there is. I'm sorry.
Well, yeah. But there's no really impactful players. No, most likely all NBA players in this draft. I think you will have some guys make a couple of all-star games.
Mm-hmm.
Solid players. Not every team is filled with all NBA players. Teams need role players. Teams need good players. Teams need players who can fit in and be glue guys. I think this draft has some of that. Mm-hmm. And it's up to the GMs and those teams to make the right players, make the right choices, and make the right fit. And we can go from there. Mr. Gibson.
Yes, sir.
Did you happen to watch any? I'm going to shift gears. I'm going to talk some WNBA briefly.
Yep.
And then we'll talk some NCAA big boys with Thrillo. As a Texas Southern alum, you know TSU is not part of the big boy club. But it's sounding like the club is going to become even more exclusive in the very near future. But real quick, did you happen to watch any of Sunday's game between the Indiana Fever and the Chicago Sky?
I did. I watched very little. I was in between events yesterday. I watched maybe the second half of the 3rd quarter, and maybe very, very, very beginning of the 4th.
So did you see at that point? Did you see Angel Reese abuse, dominate Nalissa Smith? Smith.
It happened after. I didn't see. I saw clips later. I think I saw something today, but live, no, I did not see it.
Oh my goodness. Well, the first 3 possessions of the game, the first 3 post-ups for Angel were against Nalissa Smith. 2 layups, and she got a foul on the 3rd one.
Mm-hmm.
It was like no contest between Angel Reese and Nalissa Smith. And mind you, Nalissa Smith was an All-American at Baylor. Okay? She's a solid pro player.
Right.
4th quarter, Angel Reese said, yeah, you're just not as good as I am. So Chicago did what they're supposed to do. Get the ball to your best player. Angel Reese did work. But in between, Angel Reese got posted up one time specifically by Nalissa Smith. Nalissa scored on her in the paint. And she did the too short motion. Now, mind you, this is 3rd quarter. She'd already been abused. Okay, first 2 quarters. And really, anytime Angel got the ball in the post against her. So Nalissa did this, and I was like, oh, no, you didn't. No, you didn't. After all the abuse you received, you're going to do that too short. Angel said after the game she didn't see it. So her teammates told her about it after the fact. Well, I don't know if it's during the game or timeout. Angel Reese finished up the game, posted up Nalissa Smith going to work, and Chicago won by a point. And Angel finished with, I think, 25 and 16.
Yeah.
For her 8th straight double-double to continue to extend her rookie record in the W for most double-doubles in a row. And the first rookie since Asia Wilson's rookie season to have a 25 and 15 game. She's going to be all right, Will. It doesn't matter when she starts expanding her range in her offense. You know?
I think so.
And Caitlin Clark had 13 assists through 3 quarters. And then fourth quarter, I don't know what the hell the Fever were doing in the fourth quarter.
Yeah, I don't know.
Their offense just.
So what was the deal with Coach Weatherspoon and Coach Sides end of the game?
I don't know. The long hug and talk and whispering into each other's ear. I don't know what that was about. I don't know if that was. Thurlow's being nice. He's being real nice here. I think he's being. Who's the lead for Rookie of the Year?
That's
Caitlin Clark.
Caitlin
Clark. Angel Reese put up good numbers.
Yeah.
But it is Caitlin Clark. Yeah.
Yeah.
And the Fever still ahead of Chicago in the standings for that 8th spot. But after the game, Caitlin said, yeah, the ball got kind of sticky. We just didn't really run an offense in the fourth quarter. I think they only scored 5 points in the last 6 minutes of the game. And down the stretch, I think she only took 1 shot or 2. The offense, I don't know what they were doing. That's why they lost. Because they stopped doing what worked for them in the first 3 quarters. Stopped going pick and roll between her and Aaliyah Boston. On and on and on. That's the reason why they lost the game. Lost by a point. It was a good matchup, good rivalry. The rivalry's there. ESPN should be happy.
Yep.
I haven't seen anything about ratings today. I kind of expected something to come out today about the numbers. Have you seen anything about it?
I haven't. I did. The only thing I saw was like ticket pricing prior to the game was like $351 to get in, which is the highest ticket price all time in the W.
So yeah. So maybe tomorrow, but hey, I enjoyed the game. Looking at it and seeing all the talent, and none of those players played at Houston. Oh, my bad. Anyway,
one more year.
Yep. May 31st, his contract will be up, and the purge. I'm calling it a purge. Began Thursday.
Yep.
Chris Pezman is no longer the athletics director at the University of Houston. He's the first person gone. I think another person will be gone soon, from what I've been told. She'll be gone.
Mm-hmm.
She'll be gone for reasons tied to the softball program and the cloud hanging over that program, which she didn't do anything. She was told by players on the softball team that they're concerned about one specific teammate involving a gun.
Oh.
And she did nothing about it.
Oh.
She did not carry up the chain of command like she's supposed to as an administrator of the university.
Mm-hmm.
So I think she'll be gone soon. The softball coach, her contract ends, I believe, at the end of this month. So they can, if that is accurate, all they have to say with her is we chose not to renew her contract. So she'll be gone. Mm-hmm. So the purge has begun. And then next May 31st, the purge will continue with women's hoops. And maybe at some point, Houston Cougars athletics will be ready for actual acknowledging and working and doing things necessary to be part of big-time athletics. And speaking of big-time athletics, Ross Dellinger, Yahoo Sports, wrote today, and these next few slides, class, get your pens ready. We're going to take some notes. We're going to discuss this article from Mr. Ross Dellinger. Title of the article: With the future of college sports uncertain, one thing is clear: an official and permanent split of NCAA Division I is here. This first part says it all, Will. These first 3-4 paragraphs.
Mm-hmm.
Inside the beachside Ritz-Carlton Resort along Florida's southwestern coast, leaders of college athletics met in a second-floor conference room to discuss particulars about the industry's future. Those in the room, Thrillo, were limited to 5 men: NCAA President Charlie Baker and commissioners from the SEC, ACC, Big 12, and Big 10. Not in the room, the other 28 Division I commissioners who milled about on the first floor of the resort, wondering the whereabouts of the other 4.
Wow.
Quote, "I didn't even know they were meeting," end quote, said one commissioner. Another quote, "Of course," whispered another, "they are cutting us out of it," end quote. Minutes later, the 5 men came hustling down the main stairwell to begin what was the final chapter in 4 days of administrative meetings here. Baker appearing before all 32 commissioners for a robust discussion about the future of the NCAA's top division. As evident from their separate meeting, NCAA Division I has never been more fractured, fragile, and frustrated. The split between the haves and have-nots in college athletics is becoming more real than ever. In fact, unveiled during this week's meetings of conference commissioners was none other than a new governance model for Division I. Stemming from the NCAA's landmark antitrust settlement, the model further separates the 4 power leagues from the 28 lower resourced conferences in a more formal break. Here it is right here. Though still in the process of development, the governance framework can simply be summed up in 5 words, says one FCS league commissioner. Quote, "Let the big dogs eat." There it is. Let the big dogs eat. Let's stop right there. I can continue with the slide. Have let's see, I think 2 more to go on slides. But your thoughts on that, Mr. Gibson? The fact that the 4, it's the Power 4.
Yeah.
Conferences. That's what it is. What the Autonomy 4 or whatever.
Yeah.
Met with the NCAA president in their own room, aside from the other 28 commissioners. Your thoughts on that?
First thought I have is a resort on Florida's southwestern coast. Why don't they ever have these meetings in Idaho or Wyoming or Montana?
Yeah.
I'm just saying. I digress.
Or Mexico or something. Yeah.
I'm just saying. But or New Hampshire in January. I don't know. But I digress.
Cleveland.
Yeah.
In February.
Yeah. Yeah. Expected. My thoughts. Expected. As the title of the article alluded to, it's not if but when.
Right.
And they said the quiet part out loud, but tried to say it quietly. Let's meet in this room, just the 5 of us. Never to think the other 28 wouldn't figure out, that was sloppy on their part. Because there's so many ways you could have done that without it getting to this point. But it also tends to give you the brazenness of the 5. They don't care. It is what it is.
There you go.
So, why lie?
Yeah.
Why lie? So, yeah.
All right, back to it. Winding it up here. While many details remain unclear, the new governance structure clearly draws a dividing line between the revenue-generating football giants competing in a mostly commercialized, professional enterprise. That's why I call it semi-pro sports.
Yep.
And the more basketball-centric institutions participating in a more amateur landscape. Historically significant, the governance model segregates the more than 350 schools in Division I, creating what some describe as a separate subdivision for the power schools, which is similar, ironically, to a proposal the NCAA President Baker publicly unveiled last December. The power conferences are expected to hold authority to create and even enforce their own rules, many of them related to the antitrust settlement and new athlete revenue sharing model coming to college athletics. And here is the quote. This is all it is right here. This is it right here. From prominent agent Jeffrey Kessler. Here's what people have to get in their heads. The Power 5, now it's Power 4, schools are not like everybody else. The reason we get tied in knots is because we conflate those schools who have developed these gigantic, independent commercial businesses with the schools who are still just educational institutions with extracurricular activities.
Wow.
End quote.
Just educational institutions. Wow.
Yep. And many of those in the power conferences generate millions from their football and men's basketball programs. The average power conference athletic budget is around $130 to $150 million. Budgets of those in Division I's bottom 28 conferences are as low as 1/10 of that figure. Mr. Gibson, off the top of your head, approximately what is the budget for the Ohio State Athletics? It's more than 150, right?
I want to say 257, I want to say.
Okay.
Roughly.
And Houston, I think, is maybe around 100 million.
Yeah.
The goal before he was let go, Chris Pezman, was to get the budget to, like, I think maybe 120, 125 million within the next 2 years or so, something like that.
Yep.
And he was doing a poor job of making that happen because one of his failings was on the fundraising aspect of his job. It's part of his job. A big reason why he was let go was fundraising and his lack of ideas and lack of thinking outside the box. But the Power Four, as Will said, they said the quiet part out loud now. It's going to be a subdivision it's going to be the haves and the have-nots. Football makes the world go around. Will knows it. I know it. Big Thriller knows it. He played football at TSU. I'm a basketball person, basketball guy, but I also know what's going on. And one of the reasons for FTS and one of the reasons for expanding the media group umbrella is to get more dollars from football folks, football fans and football alums, and allow me to attend the Big 12 Football Media Day, the AAC Football Media Day, to meet those folks and say, Kris, I see you doing different things. I see you in football now. Hey, I may want to advertise on your show now. It's all part of it. Well, this is chess, not checkers. Okay.
Without question.
So that's where that is. That is why it is now a media group. So it is the Houston Roundball Review Media Group, of which FTS, Folks Talking Sports, is part of it. Your thoughts overall on that? I think the changes are coming quickly. How quickly do you think they're going to happen?
About years in, because you got to remember the first 12-team playoff starts December 20th. So I'm quite sure the framework's already there. The fact that they're meeting, they didn't decide, hey, let's go to this quiet room upstairs on the second floor. They've had Teams meetings and Zoom calls and text groups and things of that nature already. I think that was just more so a final smoothing over. Let's make sure everybody's on the same page. Let's get our talking notes together, talking points together. So, yeah, I think it's going to happen very, 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 very quickly.
And the media days are next month in July.
Yep.
Where is Big Ten Media Day?
Indianapolis.
Indianapolis. Big 12 will be in Las Vegas. The SEC will be in Dallas. I think at Dallas, Arlington, Jerry World.
Yeah.
Whatever. I'm not sure where the ACC is meeting. That will be, I think, SMU's first of. Hold on, let me see. Answer this question. I'll answer this real quick. Have I heard anything yet on when UH will begin interviews for the AD job? Formal interviews, no. They have begun reaching out to people. Joseph Duarte had a list of possible candidates for the AD job. I'll say this: one of the names, a name that was suggested to me, was not among the list of names that Joseph wrote about. This person believes they are a long shot. They may still put their hat in the ring for discussions, meeting, but this person does have ties to the university, does have ties to the city. And I'll say this, Will, this person does have a good relationship with Kelvin Sampson. I'll say that, but this person is not known as a fundraiser.
Okay.
So that is a big deal. UH needs somebody who can raise some money, and a lot of it in a hurry. I don't think they're not moving away from the NCAA. Thurlow talking about the Power 4. I think at some point the Power 3. But because they're meeting with Charlie Baker. Charlie Baker is doing what he can to keep those 3 power conferences under the umbrella, even though it's at an arm's length, because football really is not part of the NCAA. The CFP is its own entity.
Yep.
So it's all convoluted. I know, Justin Williams from The Athletic wrote and reported last week that Houston Christian University filed a suit proclaiming their displeasure as an FCS school having to pay or contribute to the revenue sharing when they had no say in the discussions toward revenue sharing to the student assets, like most of the FCS schools, hell, the non-Power 4 schools did not have any say in what they were going to pay, what the amounts they were going to pay the student assets toward revenue sharing. And I believe that HCU won't be the only school doing some sort of illegal action to try to probably get the numbers to change. Because honestly, Will, what is it? 28, the member schools in the 28 conferences are paying percentage-wise a larger percentage than the schools in the Power 4, right?
Yeah.
So I think they, at worst, the non-Power 4 schools would like to see an even split. At worst, they prefer to be the Power 4 pay more, a higher percentage than they do. That's what they prefer. So it'll all be discussed. That's right. Thurlow says ACC will be in Charlotte. Thank you for that. See, we got smart viewers here. We may have a troll every once in a while. And sometimes you got to block trolls and shake them off, keep it moving. But thank you, Thurlow, for your comment, your insight there. Appreciate that. Well, in these final moments of episode 129 of Folks Talking Sports, when, looking at your crystal ball, when, I don't know where they're going to go, but when will Florida State and Clemson cease being members of the ACC?
Excellent question. As you said, where will they go? As soon as they find somewhere to go. As soon as they find somewhere to go.
And I flip it around here. If, okay, you're a Big Ten guy.
Nope.
I was going to say, will the Big Ten want Florida State or Clemson?
No.
Will the Big Ten want North Carolina?
That's a possibility.
Okay, fair enough.
Carolina and Duke.
Fair enough. So, if the Big Ten does not want Florida State and Clemson, I'm not certain. Oh, I'll get back to it. Question for you, sir. Will you be attending the Grambling Ohio State game?
Next year, yep.
So looking forward to that. Any word yet on the band? Will the band be there yet?
Have not heard yet. I did confirm. I talked. The cost is $1 million. So Grambling will receive. I believe their football budget for this year was last year was $4.7 million. So $1 million next year will go to Grambling for them to come up here and suit up against the Buckeyes.
Yes, play the third and fourth string Buckeyes. Yes.
I didn't say that. You said that.
I said that. Yeah. But yeah, that's fine.
Yeah.
But if the Big Ten does not want Florida State and Clemson, I'm not certain the SEC would want Florida State and Clemson.
No, I agree with that.
Then what?
There lies the issue.
Because I didn't watch it. The person who put it out there is really things kind of shaky on their sources of info and stuff. Brett Yormark would take Florida State and Clemson.
I believe it.
But the money wouldn't be nearly what they could get from the Big Ten or SEC. Right?
Oh, without question. I agree. Yeah.
Unless, of course, this is all part of his master plan of private equity.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe that's where he's going, because the Weatherfords, Drew and his brothers, have their own private capital company, corporation, whatever, which Florida State is linked. Drew Weatherford is a Florida State alum. Played QB there.
Right. Player, yeah.
Yeah. So maybe that's part of Commissioner Yormark's 3D chess.
It's possible.
So we'll see. But yeah, the Big Ten, and first things first, Florida State and Clemson, they have to resolve their court cases with the ACC first and foremost before anybody considers having them as membership. So when that is resolved, time will tell. We shall see. Brillo, it's going to get ugly in Columbus between the Buckeyes and Grambling State. It's going to get ugly.
What's too ugly?
As long as players, the G-men don't get hurt. It'll be ugly. Hopefully the third and fourth string players are getting a game in the second quarter, if not some point in the first quarter, and just go from there. But it's going to be ugly. Ohio State's talent level is not going to fall off a cliff, in 12 months. So, and Grambling's talent level is not going to increase in 12 months. So, not to that level. So, yeah, I saw Florida A&M had the was ranked second by a site for their activity in the transfer portal among the FCS programs. That's Florida A&M. Okay, that's not Grambling.
Yeah,
FAMU their football program is continuing on the upswing, and G-men not on the upswing.
No.
So, all right. Thurlow says, I have one rule: just don't lose by more points than you have. Once 50 is on the board.
Well, that might be a possibility.
Yeah, because I don't see Grambling scoring.
Yeah. Yeah. At that point, it doesn't help Ohio State at that point to go. I think 1 year FAMU did come in here. I think it was 72-0, if I remember properly.
So yeah, I think that'd be the same. Looking
Yeah.
at that, 56-63-0.
Yeah.
G-Man not gonna get a field goal, nothing like that, because you got to get a range to kick a field goal, and
Yeah.
a lot of HBCUs unfortunately do not have strong kicking games. So barring some turnovers by Ohio State in their own territory, gifts like that, I don't see the G-Men scoring. But hey,
Yeah.
I hope I'm wrong, but I don't see it happening. But
We'll
more
see.
importantly, the check will clear. Hopefully the band will be there and the fans will enjoy the atmosphere, and it'll be something that the players will enjoy and not forget. Thurlow says, take that back. It's his basketball rule, not his football rule. Okay. All right. But yeah, that's next year. That's what, September 6th?
Yep, September 6th.
All right, Brother Gibson.
Mhm.
That'll do it. I think we touched on everything I want to touch on. The WNBA, the Fever Sky game, Angel Reese just doing business to Nalissa Smith, the NCAA, the Cavs, Rockets. NBA draft is on Wednesday.
Oh, I thought it was Thursday.
Second round is on Thursday.
Okay, no joke.
The Bronny part of the draft is on Thursday. We'll see what
Can I say something?
Yes.
He's going into year 8. The deal is on the table, 4 years, 208. But look for him. He's probably going to sign, I would say, a 2-year extension. And why that is, because he's going to opt into this year, the year 8. The 2 years will be year 9 and 10. The third, on paper, it'll be a 3-year extension.
Mm-hmm.
But it'll probably be a 2+1. The third year being a player option, because at that point, he's at year 10. And at that point, he's more eligible for 35% of the cap.
Right.
Of the cap. So, now that Kenny Atkinson, for all intent and purposes, is the coach, look for Donovan Mitchell here shortly to sign a 3-year extension, but it'll be a 2+1.
And that makes sense for him. 35% of the cap for players with 10 years of service. Yep. All-stars, 10 years of service. Cap's going up, and the new deal is finally done, and the I's are dotted and T's are crossed. Haven't heard much anything about the last few days about how things are progressing. There was some talk that seems to have died now about Warner Brothers Discovery / TNT being the fourth slice of that pie. That deal seems to have died. So it's just, they're out of it unless they're going to take the NBA to court. And really, you could do that, but why do that? It's just going to be a bad look for you, and legal fees, and the lawyers would be happy. But other than that, it's not going to change anything. So
it's there for self-inflicted.
Yeah. He put it up on himself.
Yep.
He boxed himself in that corner, and now he's going to miss out.
Yep.
But oh well. But Brother Gibson.
Yes, sir.
Full screen for you, sir. How can folks find you and get in touch with you?
Thank you, Chris. As always, you can find me on social media, on Twitter at Will Gibson 7, Facebook Will Knows, and IG and Threads Will Know Sports.
And of course, I am KG. The main part on Twitter, X is the HR Review, but more and more, IG and Threads, folks talking sports. Follow those platforms. Please do that. Folks talking sports. To Thrillo and Bobby, thank you for your comments. Thank you for your time and your questions. Rockets GM Rafael Stone is slated to speak with the media Wednesday at the end of round 1 of the draft. And then I think the Rockets will post those comments on Rockets.com or I'll post some, whatever, Wednesday. It won't be as late as usual because it's just one round. Because usually in years past, when it's a 2-round draft, Rockets conclude their draft and their picks. Then he's been probably up to an hour making arrangements with free agents, bringing them in and making deals with camp guys and summer camp. So Rafael didn't talk to us till like 12 o'clock, midnight, if not later. won't be the case on Wednesday. So thank you, NBA, for going to just one round on day one of the draft. So as always, Bobby, don't be a stranger. Bobby, buy you a FTS mug or a Houston Roundball Review mug. Spread the word about the Houston Roundball Review. Spread the word about Folks Talking Sports, part of the Houston Roundball Review Media Group. Willy Gibson, thank you as always for taking time out to join me and sharing your knowledge and insight about the Cavs and the NBA and WNBA and the Buckeyes. See you next week. And to everyone watching all the platforms, keep this in mind. Or if you're new, remember this, know it, don't forget it. Since 1994, the Houston Roundball Review. Local name, global perspective. Take care. Peace.